Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Arnold. The title of our video today is Rockefeller. John Davidson Rockefeller Sr. Is considered to be the wealthiest American of all time and richest person in modern history. He also founded University of Chicago, and he's considered a philanthropist and a business magnate. In 2019, his net worth was 418 billion US dollars. He was the second child born in Richford, New York, to a con artist known as Bill. The mother was called Eliza Davidson. His father was of English and German descent. Throughout his life, Bill was notorious for shady schemes. The wife was a homemaker and a devout Baptist. John did his fair share of regular household chores and earned extra money raising turkeys, selling potatoes and candy, and eventually went into lending money. He lent money to people in his neighborhood. He followed his father's advice, which was to trade dishes for platters and always get the better part of any deal. He once bragged, "I cheat my boys every chance I get. I want to make them sharp." His mother was more influential in his upbringing, and as John grew older, he grew farther apart from his dad. So, how then did John get his breakthrough? So, his family moved to Cleveland, Ohio in 1854, and he got a chance to enroll in the best school he ever attended. And he studied bookkeeping. 1 year after enrolling in the school, he dropped out and went to work for a local produce company, Hewitt and Tuttle, and he earned 50 cents per day. But then that was not enough for him, and he supplemented that by doing bookkeeping on the sides, uh, more or less like a freelancing kind of thing. And after 2 years of working at Hewitt, his bosses refused to give him a meaningful raise. He therefore started his own produce brokerage company. And one thing that John had was he had a good reputation, and this came in handy when he needed money to invest in his business. And he got a loan of $4,000, which he invested in his business. And in his first year of business, he recorded a sales of $500,000 US dollars, of which he got a small fraction as commissions. And as his reputation grew, every bank in Cleveland was now begging him to borrow money, and he was barely 18 years old at that time. Then came 1859, when the first American oil well was discovered in Titusville, Pennsylvania. Back then, oil was processed into kerosene, and kerosene was widely used in homes to light most of the homes. And that was the case until when electricity came into the picture. So, as many people rushed into oil drilling, John realized that good money could be made in oil refining, and he set out to build his team that would later on become part of the Standard Oil team. And with that, he built a team of bankers, of seasoned chemists, engineers, and the team that he had really worked hard for him. And his chemist came up with products that could be obtained by refining oil, and some of it was paraffin wax, tar, and naphtha. So when the government finally built a railway that connected Titusville, Pennsylvania to Cleveland, Ohio, John went into business immediately, because with that now he could be able to transport the crude oil from Titusville to Cleveland, Ohio. And within 2 years of his refinery being in business, his refinery was worth 72,500 US dollars, which in 2007 was about $1.8 million. And with that, he became one of the largest in Cleveland. And in 1865, there were about 26 competitors who were also in the refinery business. And within 5 years, he had acquired 22 out of the 26. The business, therefore, his business became bigger, and he could no longer operate it as a partnership. And in 1870, he incorporated Standard Oil of Ohio, and with that, Standard Oil was born. So, to convince the remaining four competitors, he would sometimes invite them over to show them his books, that he could operate at a loss far longer than they could remain solvent. He could offer his competitors positions in his own company, and sometimes he ended up eroding the price of oil and kerosene, sometimes by as much as 80%, in order to strangle competitors. And he succeeded in strangling his competitors with that. By 1880, he had acquired refineries across northeastern US, and was refining over 90% of the entire country's oil production. He became so powerful that he could invite the owners of big rail companies and tell them how they were going to transport his oil. And this did not go well with other people who were using the railroad and other business people. And it did not go well with the legislators, who then began drafting an antitrust regulation to bring down Standard Oil. John knew that these people were coming after him, and he was a step ahead of them. And in 1882, he incorporated in New Jersey, creating the Standard Oil Trust, which held stake in over 40 local companies. By the time he built his headquarters in Broadway, he owned 20,000 oil wells, 4,000 miles of pipeline, and employed over 100,000 people. But then, with oil being discovered overseas, in Russia and Asia, his grip on the oil business started loosening. The oil in Russia and Asia was being developed by the Rothschild, who started importing such oil products into the U.S., and this further eroded John's grip on the oil business in the U.S. In 1890, the federal government passed the Sherman Antitrust Act, which gave the politicians the powers to go after the Standard Oil. They had a problem, though, breaking down Standard Oil, because Standard Oil had become such a complex company. They struggled with that, and in 1911, they succeeded in breaking down Standard Oil. By the time they were breaking down Standard Oil, again, John was ahead of them, and he had already cashed out. And it is said that the true worth of Standard Oil at its peak was about $1 trillion US. And in 1911, Standard Oil was broken down into 34 separate entities. John kept his stake in those companies until the time of his death. The breakup of Standard Oil turned out to be the most profitable event in his life. And even though these companies were broken down, even though Standard Oil was broken down into 34 companies, these 34 companies later on merged and formed much bigger companies. And one such company is ExxonMobil. ExxonMobil is headquartered in Irving, Texas. It's the largest direct descendant of Standard Oil. It was formed in November 30th, 1999. And in 2018, it had a revenue of US dollars 279.3 billion US dollars. In the same year, its net income was 20.84 billion US dollars. And at the same time, 2018, its total assets was US dollars 346.2 billion US dollars. ExxonMobil is one of the world's largest company by revenue. And between the period of 1996 to 2017, it varied from between the first and the sixth largest publicly traded company by market capitalization. It is one of the largest of the world's big oil companies. And this just goes to tell us that in every step in every big event in Rockefeller's business life. One thing is that he always came out on the top. And with that, we come to the end of this video. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.